Can we share your fries, sir? The voice was so soft I almost thought I imagined it. But when I looked up, I saw her, standing just a little behind my table, her shoulders slightly hunched, her arms wrapped protectively around a small boy who looked no older than 6. The boy's eyes weren't looking at me, they were fixed on my plate. Not in a greedy way. In a hungry way. The kind of hunger you don't learn, the kind you survive. His mother swallowed, visibly nervous after the words slipped out. She looked like she wanted to snatch them back, apologize, disappear. I'm sorry, she whispered quickly. He hasn't eaten since morning. I didn't mean to bother you. I'll pay you back. I promise. Just 1 or 2 fries, that's all. Her voice shook at the end, as if even asking for that tiny thing cost her pride. I glanced around. A few customers had turned to look, some with pity, some with disapproval, many with curiosity. They saw a struggling mother begging for fries. They didn't see what I saw, a woman who clearly didn't beg often. A woman who looked like she'd rather starve herself than ask for help. Her son tugged on her sleeve. Mama, it's okay. We don't have to ask. Let's go. That hit me harder than anything. Kids shouldn't sound like that, resigned, quiet, mature beyond their years. It told me everything. This wasn't the first time they'd been in this situation. And somehow, he still tried to protect her from shame. I slid my plate toward them with a gentle smile. Of course you can have some. The boy looked up at me, polite, hopeful, unsure. Are you sure? You look hungry too. That simple sentence melted something inside me. I'd been called many things in my life, intimidating, brilliant, cold, unreachable, but no one had spoken to me with such honest, innocent concern in years. Yes, I said softly. I'm very sure. His mother exhaled, the tension leaving her shoulders all at once, as if someone had just lifted a heavy stone off her back. Thank you, she whispered, almost too emotional to speak. The boy reached out, but only took 1 fry. Just 1. Then, my breath caught, he broke it in half. Carefully. Precisely. And handed the bigger half to his mother. You eat first, he said. Her eyes glistened. She took the piece slowly, almost painfully, as if the small gesture meant more to her than any meal could. That single moment told me more than any introduction or background story ever could. This woman had raised a child who understood generosity while starving. I had come here to hide, to escape the noise, the cameras, the never-ending spotlight on the man newspapers called the invisible billionaire. The one who disappeared from public life after losing his wife. I wore a hoodie, cap, and simple clothes, enough to look like anyone else. But in this moment, I wasn't a billionaire. I wasn't a headline. I wasn't anything but a man watching 2 strangers fight hunger with dignity. Something inside me shifted. Something old. Something human. Would you 2 like to sit? I asked gently. You can have the whole plate. The mother shook her head immediately. No, sir, we don't want to trouble you. Just 1 fry was enough. It's not trouble, I assured her. I'd really like you to join me. She hesitated, not out of fear of me, but out of habit. Out of years of being let down by people who pretended to help. Her son tugged her hand again. Mama, maybe we can sit? Just for a little. Her eyes softened. She nodded. They Saturday. Up close, I noticed the exhaustion on her face. Not the kind that comes from a long day. This was the kind that comes from years of carrying everything alone. Her clothes were neat but worn. Her hands were dry, marked with small cuts, signs of hard work. But she held herself with a quiet grace, a posture that said she refused to give up. My name is Aisha, she finally said, offering a shy smile. This is my son, Zian. Nice to meet you both, I replied. I'm Armin. I didn't offer a last name. People treat you differently when they know you own half the buildings they walk past. Zian swung his legs under the chair, humming softly as if the world suddenly felt safer. He took a few more fries, slower this time, like he didn't want to finish them too quickly. Aisha watched him with a soft, tired look, a mother's relief at seeing her child eat. I'm really sorry you had to see that, she said, looking down. It's been a hard month. You don't need to apologize, I told her. You did what any parent would do. She shook her head. Most people don't think so. I could tell from her tone she wasn't looking for sympathy. She was stating a fact she'd lived repeatedly. The cafe waiter approached, giving us a cautious glance, probably wondering if I was being bothered. I waved him off with a small nod. Zayan suddenly looked at me. "Sir, do you like cartoons?" I laughed. "Some of them." "Which one?" he asked eagerly, crumbs on his lips. Aisha reached to wipe them, but I gently passed her a napkin before she could lean forward. She gave me a surprised, grateful look. A tiny act, but sometimes tiny acts speak louder than grand gestures. Zayan munched another fry. "Mama says we used to watch cartoons a lot, before things got hard." Aisha froze slightly, a hint of embarrassment crossing her face. "Zayan, eat slowly." But I smiled. He can talk. I like hearing him. He grinned, a big, bright, toothy grin that lit up the whole table. For a moment, the cafe wasn't a cafe. It was a small piece of warmth he had created just by being himself. I leaned forward. "Would you both like lunch? Something more than fries?" Aisha immediately shook her head. "No, Armin. Please. We are grateful already. We don't want more." "It's my treat," I said simply. "And I'd enjoy the company." Her lips parted slightly, caught off guard by the sincerity. "No expectations," I added gently. "Just food." She finally nodded, slowly, reluctantly, but with a tiny spark of relief in her eyes. At that moment, I realized something. I wasn't helping them out of pity. I was helping them because they made me feel human again. And as they settled in, unaware of who I truly was, I felt the first genuine warmth in my chest since the day I lost everything. A feeling I didn't want to let go of. Aisha sat carefully, almost like she was afraid the chair wasn't really meant for her. Her posture was straight, polite, and alert, as if life had taught her to stay ready for whatever came next. But Zayan. He relaxed instantly, his small fingers tracing patterns on the table with the innocence only children carry. "My name is Aisha," she said softly, her voice still carrying that slight tremor of uncertainty. "This is my son, Zayan." "I'm Armin," I replied. Just Armin. The simpler version of myself, the one no one recognized, the one the world rarely saw. The waiter returned with menus, placing them in front of us. Aisha flinched slightly, her hands tightening around the edges of hers as if the laminated sheet was heavier than it looked. "Please don't order much," she said quickly, almost as a reflex. "Something small for Zayan is enough. I'm okay." She wasn't okay. You can tell when someone's hunger becomes habit. When skipping meals becomes part of their rhythm. Her trembling hands revealed more truth than her words ever could. But I didn't argue. Not directly. "Let's see what he likes first," I said, smiling at Zayan. The little boy brightened immediately. He pointed at a picture of a grilled sandwich with fries on the side. The cheapest item on the kids' menu. Of course he chose it. Children in hardship learn the unspoken limits before adults ever tell them. "That looks good," I said. "Want it?" He nodded quickly, eyes wide. "And for your mom?" I asked him, not her. Zayan looked up at her with that same protective instinct I'd already seen. "Mama likes soup, but she never buys it." Aisha's cheeks flushed. "Zayan." "It's okay," I said gently. "Soup is perfect." She opened her mouth to protest, but something in my tone must have told her she didn't need to. For once, she allowed herself to accept something without fighting against it. When the waiter left, Zayan relaxed into his chair again, humming softly. Aisha folded her hands in her lap, smoothing the fabric of her dress with small nervous motions. "You don't have to feel uncomfortable," I said quietly. "You're not taking anything from me." She looked up, surprised. Her eyes were tired, but underneath that exhaustion was something stronger, resilience. "I'm just not used to kindness," she admitted, her voice nearly breaking. "Not without conditions." I understood more than she knew. "Some people just help because they want to," I said. "No strings." She held my gaze for a moment longer than before. And in that moment, something softened between us, a small thread of trust forming gently, cautiously. When the food arrived, Zayan's face lit up so brightly it was impossible not to smile. He grabbed his sandwich with both hands, taking big, eager bites, like he was afraid it might vanish if he didn't eat it fast enough. Aisha gently slowed him, telling him to chew, her voice tender and patient. Then she reached for her soup. Just one spoonful. She closed her eyes, a brief second of warmth she allowed herself to feel. "You should eat more," I said lightly. "It tastes good, right?" She nodded, her expression softening. It's been a while since we sat and ate like this. Zayan perked up. Really, sir? At home we. Aisha gently touched his hand. Zayan, not now. But I shook my head. It's okay. He can talk. The boy beamed, instantly reassured. Children bloom with the slightest permission. He leaned closer, whispering as if sharing a secret. Mama works a lot. She says one day we'll have a big kitchen. With noodles. And pancakes. I smiled. Sounds like a good plan. Aisha looked embarrassed. It's just something I tell him to keep his hopes alive. That's not a small thing, I said gently. Sometimes hope is the only thing that keeps people moving. She stared at me, surprised at the depth of the words. Then she quietly said, You speak like someone who understands. I did. But I didn't say why. I didn't say that I'd lost my wife, or that grief had pushed me into isolation. I didn't say that wealth had become a burden instead of a blessing. I didn't say that I stopped trusting people long before she did. Instead, I let the conversation flow to safer places. After the meal, when Zayan finally sat back with a tiny sigh of satisfaction, Aisha reached into her bag. She pulled out a single crumpled 100 rupee bill and placed it on the table in front of me. Please, she said softly. Take this. I don't want charity. I pushed it back gently. I wasn't giving charity. Then what was it? She asked, confusion clouding her features. Respect, I said. For a mother doing everything she can. She stared at the note, her fingers hovering above it, torn between pride and exhaustion. So I offered something that wouldn't hurt her dignity. I know a place, I said carefully. A cafe not far from here. They're looking for staff. Good hours. Good environment. And they don't mind if you bring your child sometimes. She looked up sharply. Why would they hire me? Because you're someone who tries, I replied. And that matters more than experience. She swallowed hard. You don't even know me. But I know enough, I said. I saw the way your son treats you. Children mirror what they see. That tells me more about you than anything else. Her lips trembled. Tears gathered in her eyes, but she blinked them back quickly, refusing to break in front of me. Thank you, she whispered. I don't know what to say. You don't need to say anything. She reached out and finally took back the 100 rupee note, folding it slowly and placing it carefully inside her worn purse, as if returning it meant reclaiming a small piece of herself. Zayan hopped off his chair suddenly. Sir, can I tell you something? Of course, I said. He grinned proudly. One day, when Mama gets her job, I'll buy you fries. Big ones. The kind with the curly shape. I laughed, a genuine, warm laugh that surprised even me. I look forward to that. As they stood to leave, Aisha gave me a long, steady look. No longer suspicious. No longer afraid. Just grateful. Amen, she said softly. Thank you for seeing us. I nodded. Thank you for trusting me. They walked toward the door, hand in hand. Halfway there, Zayan turned, waved both hands excitedly, and shouted, Don't forget. Curly fries. And with that, they stepped out into the sunlight, two silhouettes filled with quiet strength and renewed hope. I watched them go, a strange feeling blooming in my chest. I had spent years avoiding company, avoiding connection, avoiding being seen. Yet today, two strangers had made me feel something I thought I'd lost forever. Not charity, not duty, not guilt, but something simple, something pure, human connection. And I found myself hoping, I didn't know why, that our paths would.